Luka Dončić leaves with an injury, but the Lakers get arguably their most impressive win of the season anyway. We'll explain how next.
You are Locked On Lakers, your daily Los Angeles Lakers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks to everybody for making Locked On Lakers first listen of every day, Monday through Friday, sometimes on weekends and even on holidays, and sometimes, Andy, as the case was on Thursday, multiple times in the same day. Our third podcast of the day. No matter how you are consuming the show, maybe you're an Apple guy, maybe you're a Spotify person, maybe you're one of the 37,000 plus subscribers to the Locked On Lakers YouTube channel. No matter how you do it, you are part of making the Locked On Podcast Network, the number one sports podcast network. Anywhere you're going to find, anywhere. Go look anywhere you want. Brian Kamenetsky with Andy Kamenetsky, long time covering the Lakers, nearly 20 years for the LA Times, ESPN, The Athletic. And Andy, trade deadline day is always a big one. It can be tough to play on deadline day just because there's a lot going on, a lot of guys watching, Twitter feeds and stuff like that. And the Lakers kind of looked like that particularly in the first half of this game against Philadelphia on Thursday night. But in the end, we'll explain how they got there and some of the bumps that came along the way. They got a really impressive 119-115 win over a Sixers team that has played well with both Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey available.
And let's not forget VJ Edgecombe, because there were some plays in this game where that kid was fantastic.
He's going to be so good.
You and I were texting during the game, and I said that while I'm not enough of a basketball historian to truly say this with any authority, if somebody that I considered a basketball authority, or at least somebody more of an expert than me, said that Tyrese Maxey and VJ Edgecombe is the fastest starting backcourt in NBA history, I'd be like, yeah, that sounds about right.
I buy it. Those guys get up and down the floor.
It's funny when you were saying that the Lakers were playing like a team that had been distracted or preoccupied or maybe just getting through the emotional whirlwind of the trade deadline. And we've covered the Lakers, we've covered the NBA, different sports for a long time. And the deadline in any sports, particularly the NBA, which can be really active, it is nervous time for a lot of players, even players who've been around for a long time. I remember one of the years where Rondo was with the Lakers, and Rajon Rondo was a pretty been there, done that guy in the NBA. He admitted one of those years, like, yeah, I was concerned. I thought there was a possibility I could get traded. But what's funny is in the first half, the two guys on the Lakers, Luka Dončić and LeBron James, who knew more than anybody damn well I'm not getting traded. Like the two guys.
They were terrible.
They spent the entire trade deadline going, I don't know who's going to be on this team afternoon Pacific, February 5th, but I'm damn sure I will be. Those two guys were struggling mightily. Like, we'll get into Luka's injury, which happened in the first half. He didn't finish it, but the first half of the game, Luka and LeBron had a combined 14 points on 4 of 18 shooting with 9 combined turnovers. The first quarter of this game in particular was possibly the worst quarter Luka and LeBron have ever played together. And I think it was definitely the worst first quarter, period, because that is typically Luka-palooza when Luka just goes off. They both were just struggling, turning the ball over. I think Luka was getting unhappy with some non-calls. LeBron, to his credit, fourth quarter played much better, but a lot of this game was a struggle. Luka did not play in the second half.
LeBron, to me, and tell me if you disagree, because the other half of this was not just the deadline, but it's also, I think, the first game back after a long road trip is often a challenging one.
Yeah.
LeBron looked like a 41-year-old guy who'd been on a lot of airplanes over the last couple of weeks. It took him a little while to get going. We've mentioned it's not that LeBron can't turn it up. It's not that he can't have really good moments or really good games.
And he turned it up in the fourth quarter of this game.
He did, absolutely. His floor as a player now is just significantly lower than it used to be. Like you get more possibility of quarters, halves, even games where it's just like, wow, that's a really bad LeBron or low output LeBron game. But he was able to come back, and like, to their credit, look, they got a little lucky. The Sixers missed, the Lakers turned it over, I think 7 or 8 times in the first quarter. The Sixers were almost entirely unable to take advantage of it because they could not shoot to save their lives. They would get up, they got up 6, 8, 12 a couple times, but they had the opportunity. If they were playing better, shooting better, they could have been up by 20, 25 in this game, and they weren't. And the Lakers just stayed persistent before Luca got hurt, and especially after Luca got hurt. It looked like a hamstring injury. Lakers call it lower leg soreness.
JJ said afterwards that it was hamstring that felt sore. He said, we don't know enough yet to know whether or not it's an injury versus soreness. There really are no details beyond that. I think they're trying to remain optimistic that it isn't anything bigger than that.
Right. He walked off the floor clearly annoyed, clearly in pain, but wasn't, like Peyton Watson, for example. He left the game Wednesday, I believe it was, in the fourth quarter of Denver's game in New York, and was holding the hamstring the whole time, clearly limping on his way off the floor. He's going to be out for probably a month to 6 weeks. So like, you can see a little bit of a difference just in terms of how each guy handled it. That's not a medical evaluation, but we'll see. Everybody's got their fingers crossed. The way the Lakers, I mentioned this in the open, the way the Lakers came back in this game and then took a lead and then kept a lead. It starts, and we can start here, with Austin Reaves, who was reminding everybody the season that he was having before he had his own injury, between changing speeds to get to the rim and some incredible perimeter shot making. It was like, oh yeah, that guy was going to make an all-star team before he got hurt.
He, towards the top of the fourth quarter, went on essentially an 8-0 run himself that shifted the game from 93 to 87. He had back-to-back threes, followed by 2 free throws that put the game at 93-87. But keeping with just the nature of this game and how haywire it had been for the Lakers the entire time, while they were somehow staying in this game and at times keeping the score inexplicably tight. And you're like, I don't understand how they're doing this. The first of Austin's 2 threes in this sequence, Stu Lance actually yelled no, because the ball had been swinging around as the clock was running down. Maxi Kleber, who we'll talk about later, played terrific in this game, but he risked a shot clock violation swinging the ball one last time to Austin. Even though Maxi was open and the clock was down, he left Austin with like 0.4 seconds left, which I guess lucky number for the Lakers, but 0.4 left, and he was at least 4 feet behind the arc, and he buried this thing. And then the next three he made, I'm pretty sure it was Quentin Grimes, was all over him. But like, that moment in and of itself was like, what are you doing? And Stu Lance going, no, after Maxi passed it. And they still managed to make it work.
So we'll talk. This is an important win. It's an important win, not just for keeping up with the Joneses in the Western Conference. Denver continues to sort of figure out how to get it done, and they're fighting injuries. Minnesota got a little bit better on trade deadline day. It doesn't get easier in in the West. So, you need to keep winning to stay out of that play-in area. But this is an important win for how they got it and sort of showing the team something about themselves, because this was a top to bottom contributions from everybody who played in this game, from the guys you would expect to the guys you most certainly wouldn't. And we'll explain that next.
Locked on Lakers is brought to you by DoorDash. The season is heating up, and DoorDash has a way to keep fans in their bag the whole way through. Whether you're watching the highlights, the tunnel fits, or just your favorite player, DoorDash makes the entire season way more fun. And every player's got a bag. With DoorDash, the fans can have one too. DoorDash keeps the snacks stocked, the gear fresh, and the watch party vibes on point. And there's going to be nights where your team stresses you out, maybe like this one. And you can let DoorDash become your post-game therapy. Sometimes you need dessert right now as you're worried about Luka Dončić's left leg soreness, or snacks, cups for the post-game beverage. Because again, you're worried about Luka Dončić's left leg soreness. So you're going to need a couple beverages after that. So that's
you're worried about snacks and Luca.
or you know what? Wow, that feels loaded. Snacks and Luca. You could also be looking to keep your phone charged because you want every single possible update on Luca, and you're going to be watching your phone all night. DoorDash they'll deliver you a charger if you need it. So from tip off to overtime, stay in your bag. Order on DoorDash. Get snacks, drinks, gear, whatever gets you through the season, delivered right to your door. DoorDash in your bag all season long.
Locked on Lakers also brought to you by Quo. New year, new systems. This is the time when a lot of us look at the messier parts of how we run our business and think there has got to be a better way. And Andy, there is. Streamlining your communications is one of the quickest upgrades you can make in your organization. And that's why today's episode is brought to you by Quo. That's spelled Quo. It's the smarter way to run your business communications, because when your team is reachable, organized, and communicating in one place, you're not just working cleaner, you're creating more opportunities to connect with customers. Your whole team can call and text from one shared business number, so nothing ever gets missed. Everyone sees full conversation threads, which makes replies faster and more personal, and nobody's missing stuff. And it works right from your phone or computer. And you can even keep your existing number. So it's no surprise that Quo is the #1 rated business phone system on G2, trusted by more than 90,000 businesses, from solo operators to growing teams. So make this the year where no opportunity and no customer slips away. Try Quo for free, plus get 20% off your first 6 months when you go to quo.com/lockedonnba. That's QUO.com/lockedonnba. Quo, no missed calls, no missed customers. Do want to let people know as well that today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. It's the last call for football on FanDuel. And if you're a new customer, you can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets if you win. Okay, so Reaves was insane in this game. And to do this while still on a minutes restriction and in only your second game back. I mean, AR only played 25 minutes in this game, scored 35 points again, 12 of 17 from the floor, 2 assists, 6 rebounds, 6 of 7 from the line, 5 of 8 from 3. To do that in your second game back from a 19-game absence, when there really isn't anyone else there to take the pressure off, to take the attention away, because LeBron played better as the game went along, but he was not. This was not an end-to-end LeBron.
First 3 quarters of this game were not good for LeBron. They just weren't.
AR, I mean, put the team on his shoulders and put them in a position to win. He's done it multiple times over the course of the season when somebody like Luca is out. And just reminded everybody of exactly who the guy is on a night where the Lakers had to have it.
Well, it's also really important, too. It's not just the 35 points, even though obviously the 35 points were all needed. 21 of those 35 came in the second half. And like I said, there was an 8-0 run in the fourth quarter, like an 8-0 Austin Reaves run just by itself. So you saw Austin not just coming through for this team, but coming through when they knew Luca wasn't going to be there in the second half. And as the game was going along, it took LeBron to get going. I don't want to downplay the contributions from Rui and Vando, and Marcus Smart hit some big shots. Jake LaRavia, I thought, bounced back from a pretty lousy. I thought he had a very up and down road trip. And
yeah, I mean, he finished strong in terms of points scored against Brooklyn, for example, but a lot of that was sort of interior play, finishing, with dunks or easy layups, finishing on the break and stuff like that. He certainly his outside shooting particularly has been troublesome.
Maxi Kleber was getting more. You figured he would play in this game because Jackson Hayes was suspended for shoving a mascot in DC, something that I still can't quite believe that we are saying. Oh, by the way, just in case anybody was concerned, JJ clarified before the game that Jackson did in fact express contrition for shoving G Wiz. It was as JJ said, I believe, an error in judgment. He feels bad about it. He has not had a chance to apologize in front of the whole team because they didn't get together on. Nobody ever practices on the day of trade deadline. Like, you just don't do that. So presumably Jackson will at some point address the team and again explain himself and apologize for shoving what looks like to be Gonzo's long lost cousin.
that's my bad, he might say.
Looking back on it, guys, it wasn't as good of an idea as it felt like.
No, it was one of those things. It's like the equivalent of when you have an obvious foul and you raise your hand like that's me. I did that.
Or when a guy throws a turnover like 5 rows into the stands, like that's on me.
That's my.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
So I think you started kind of running through some of the contributions of other guys. LaRavia had 14 points, 4 or 5 from the line. He had 3 steals.
He had a nice
Maxi
game.
Was a plus 23, led the team in 26 minutes, a plus 23, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 steals. He had a couple buckets. And it's just all kinds of little stuff, little screens, sealing off players to provide a lane, good defensive rotations, not assists. And look, like DeAndre Ayton, who I think struggled a little bit trying to guard Joel Embiid, he wasn't bad in this game. DeAndre was playing hard. He had a couple blocks. He had 6. He only played 20 minutes, and so 4 or 5, 6 rebounds, 2 blocks in 20 minutes. He's sort of on pace for his normal style game. Ayton didn't not play in favor of Maxi, points, I thought, because Ayton was really bad or inattentive.
I think
I thought he had my point is he made some nice contributions. Rui, 14 points, 5 of 7 from the floor, plus 16.
He had an 8-0 run himself towards the end of the third quarter. Rui had 8-0 or 7-0 run. He had a 3, and then he had a turnaround jumper. Then he got to the line. It's like a 7 or 8-0 run. And this was a period in the last couple minutes of the third quarter where both LeBron and Reaves were sitting. LeBron needing some type of rest and Reaves on a minutes limit. And Rui was huge in helping the Lakers creep back into the game.
Jared Vanderbilt was a plus 16 in 23 minutes. And aside from 3 more corner threes that looked like they were shot from like a catapult or something like that, was, his defensive presence was important. His energy was important. His mobility in this game was important. Marcus Smart, who was like kind of a tire fire, especially offensively for a lot of this game, hits 2 huge fourth quarter threes. Just like everybody did something in this game to help the Lakers get this win. They do not get anywhere close to it if AR doesn't do what he's doing. But they don't win the game if AR does what he does and you don't get the performance from Maxi and you don't get LaRavia and you don't get Rui. Like, they needed each one of those guys to do so. So, like, for a bench, I realize, bench scoring Reaves technically counts there today, but he's not a bench player. But for a supporting cast that has been often rightfully maligned over the course of the season to come up the way they did against a good team, Philadelphia at pretty full strength, no Paul George, is still is a good team. And they got this win. I think when Luca left the game, most people thought they would.
Well, talking about just the hustle and physicality, which JJ talked about afterwards and praised them like pretty up and down for that in this game. Philly is not a great rebounding team overall, but what they are really good at is hitting the offensive glass. And the Lakers kept them off it. They won the rebounding battle big time, and they were winning it throughout the entire game. And that was, I think, also a big piece of what kept them in this game despite so much helter-skelter and so much WTF, man, during certainly in the first half. They
first
played
quarter in particular.
First quarter in particular, they played really hard. And you mentioned Embiid. He had, I think, 30 points through the first three quarters. He only had 5 in the fourth, and he was the one guy that was making shots, particularly in the first half. And they could not do a damn thing with Embiid. A lot of the Lakers, they kept allowing or not countering they kept getting themselves in these little switches onto Embiid. There were 3 sequences in a row.
Yeah,
where the Sixers kept just forcing a LaRavia switch on.
Well, some of it though, I think too, was I don't think they weren't having a ton of success with Ayton on Embiid. He was
a lot of Embiid's points weren't actually with Ayton guarding him. That's
my point. But I think some of this was by design. The problem, because Embiid plays, he's obviously capable of getting into the paint and into to the basket, but he plays so far away from the basket so often that I think there was a reluctance on JJ's. I don't think he was asked about this after the game, but this was my read, that they were trying to avoid leaving their only big really on the floor on him, because without, there was really no other rim protection or help down low to speak of. And if you put Ayton on Embiid exclusively at the top of the floor, there's nothing behind them to. Because I think they wanted Ayton to be able to help.
And they kept getting the switch that they wanted to get Ayton off Embiid anyway. So it was the worst of all worlds.
I think some of it was I think some of it was the Lakers kind of allowing that because they wanted Embiid. They wanted Ayton off of to be able to provide help and things like that on drive. But there were, no matter how.
What I'm talking about though, Embiid was. Ayton was near Embiid, just on the other guy
just saying,
at the top of the arc.
Right. I'm just saying, I think, but my point is, like, no matter what they were trying to do, they had no ability to stop it. Next, so let's look a little bit ahead. The Lakers will welcome Luke Kennard to the lineup. They got a very difficult schedule going into the All-Star break. Some very challenging games. So we'll talk about what's upcoming next.
Locked on Lakers is brought to you by FanDuel. It's finally started. It's finally settled, I should say. The season is long since started. It is settled, though. Last team standing in the NFL. We know that matchup. It's the Patriots. It's the Seahawks. It's Super Bowl 60. And FanDuel is making sure you are right in the middle of it with a special offer just in time for the biggest game of the year. And whether you're backing the favorite or riding with the underdog or building one last same game parlay, this is the game everyone is waiting for. It's where predictions turn into plays, stats turn into storylines. Every snap, more tension than last. And it's the perfect way to cap off the season and make the Super Bowl even more exciting from kickoff to the final whistle. And if you're a new customer, bet just $5. You get $200 in bonus bets if you win. So make it count, because after the Super Bowl, that season's over. Last call for football on FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of Super Bowl 60. Visit FanDuel.com to get started.
Quick reminder: the NBA trade deadline it's gone now, but I'm pretty sure we're still offering a free month of our new Everydayer Club to help you now
Until they tell us to stop offering it.
Until they change the copy.
Yeah.
We are offering you a free month of the new Everydayer Club to help you get ready.
Congrats to you.
Yeah, I mean, so we'll see what happens next week when they update all this stuff. But for now, if you need a group chat to help keep up with the chaos of the deadline, the now past deadline, like what happened, the Everydayer Club gives you access to the group chat on Discord for Locked On Lakers fans. I was in there on Thursday talking with people inside there. Plus, you get the national chats where you can hang out with fans from across the league, and some of the national hosts as well, hosts from different shows. So you get ad-free versions of the show as well if you sign up by the same day of the trade deadline. I think on February 5th, you can use the code deadline to get your first month free. Tap the link in the show notes to learn more. It's $5 a month, $50 a year. And if you don't want to do anything, just leave everything the way it is.
But do it quickly before they realize you're not supposed to.
I can't. I'm pretty sure like we're still good for February 5th, but I don't know what happens on February.
Right. So go fast. If you want this, go fast.
Yeah, do it quickly. Anyway, so the Lakers had Philly in the on Thursday. They get Golden State at home on Saturday. The Warriors are kind of a hit and miss proposition, to say the least, these days. But those are always big battles. Especially national TV. This one's the ABC game on Saturday. They get Oklahoma City on Monday, the 9th.
Although OKC's got some injuries right now. Shea's going to be out for a while.
Going to be out for a while.
They don't have Jalen Williams. Like, they're pretty banged up right now.
They are very banged up, but they still got, they turn over a rock. If there are guys like AJ Mitchell, this is where some of their depth guys are hurt too. So AJ Mitchell's been out with an abdominal injury. So we'll see who is available. Shea will not be. He's not going to play until after the break. But we'll see who's available for the Thunder on Monday. And then they get San Antonio on Tuesday, before finishing the pre-break schedule with Dallas, who aren't very good, on Thursday the 12th.
Now that I think about it, this schedule may not be that difficult.
Well, no, you're right. You are catching Oklahoma City at a good time. Again, it's a few days out, so other than Shea, I'm not totally sure who's going to play.
Right.
But you're right. You could be catching them at a good time now. So, but either way, at least on paper, names of the jerseys, you got to finish this front. And if you can do, there's at least a reasonable chance, Andy, that they'll have to play some of these games without Luca. They are going to be monumentally careful with a hamstring injury for Luka Dončić. Of all the things, sort of soft tissue stuff, which has been a problem, was an issue last year, soft tissue. The Lakers are not going to screw around with this. And so it is going to be incumbent on Austin Reaves to lead like he has before, and for LeBron James to kind of have to dig into whatever reserves are available before, finding a reason to skip the All-Star game. At least he doesn't have to travel for it. I mean, that's good. At least it's here. But sleep in your own bed. But if Luka can't play, I realize context will help the Lakers. It's going to be a really tough stretch.
Yeah, I mean, look, the Lakers are not good enough to ever not take an opponent seriously, at least not until they are up and in control of a game, or if they're playing the Wizards or Nets, they have earned the right to take those games not seriously. But anybody else, they need to approach the game with seriousness, because we've seen what happens to this team when they don't treat it with a certain amount of professionalism, like a baseline of professionalism. I just thought it was worth noting some of those absences because,
for sure.
Again, depending on who is available for the Thunder, some of the guys have been out sort of day-to-day maintenance, but SGA and Jalen Williams are not going to be available for this game. And that is obviously a huge deal for the Thunder.
And is Steph available right now?
He
did not play the other night when the Warriors they actually beat Phoenix in Phoenix on Wednesday, I believe it was. But Steph did not play. You got to figure he'll be back. Like, if there's any question, for a nationally televised ABC game in Los Angeles against the Lakers, but he did not play in the game the other night. And so obviously maybe the Lakers catch a break there. It would be very strange. And I'm just so accustomed to other players on other teams who are injured making it back to the lineup when they play the Lakers.
Yeah,
That's just how it works.
Porzingis is unlikely to be, he just got traded to the Warriors. He is unlikely, I'm reading right now from NBC Bay Area, unlikely to play in this game on Saturday. There's no update for Curry other than he did not play in Thursday's game versus the Suns. So we'll see. He may not be available. Either way, the Warriors are going to be pretty depleted because they're not going to have Jimmy Butler, and they traded Jonathan Kuminga and Buddy Hield. So they're at half strength to begin with.
Not having Kuminga available.
I'm talking bodies, man. I'm just talking dudes.
They weren't playing him even that much when all these guys were out. It's
sure. I just mean the roster is pretty thin at the moment. That's all.
I'm very interested to see how Luke Kennard should be in the lineup on Saturday. How, JJ talked about getting him into the lineup and the ability to run him in a variety of different ways to get shots. You mentioned in our second bonus show of the day Kennard's ability to shoot on the move, which is super important. JJ did reference one of the major criticisms of Kennard, which is he just passes up too many shots. So JJ made that reference that we're going to encourage him to shoot a lot when he's open. That is a pointed thing to say because that's one of the big knocks on Kennard. But the Lakers haven't been able to get healthy really at any point in this season. And so, what is that? 4 games left between now and the break. San Antonio game, particularly on the second night of a back-to-back, is going to be a tough one. If you can sneak out, 2-3 wins in these final games, even if Luca isn't there, that's a big lift, and then you have a chance to kind of get folks healthy in that stretch over the break.
If my math is correct, we are now at 9.5 games this season where the Lakers have had Luca, LeBron, and Austin. And my math may be wrong because I'd have to look back at when did Austin leave a certain game or when did LeBron or Luca. Like it may be really in the aggregate close to 8 3/4 or whatever. But this would be 10 full games rounding way up. And what are we at? Game 50 now? 51?
Something like that. Look, it's been a busy day. I'm really tired. I didn't really have to worry about getting traded today. But it's been an incredidly busy day.
Lord knows I tried.
Yeah, well, I am very similar to Dalton Connect.
I didn't have enough sweeteners to attach.
Right, you don't have things that you can attach, and my value around the league is just
no, it really isn't.
It's just very low, and we all have to live and learn. This is coming off a long trip, losing Luca during the game, playing horribly to that point, to find a way to stay in the game and win it. I will say the team has been inconsistent. They get blown out a lot, but there's a underneath the surface a lot of this kind of stuff that goes on with this group. Like this is where like their sort of grit guys, I think, really pay off and set a tone and things like that. They got a lot of grinders on this team.
That's what Rob Pelinka said he wanted.
Not a lot of defenders, but a lot of grinders.
No,
you can grind without being good at defense. Those are not mutually exclusive. All right, so there's a game on Saturday. We will be back obviously after that one to kind of give you a little recap. We'll have a full show on Sunday into Monday. But in the meantime, enjoy your Friday. Locked On Lakers on YouTube is where you can hang out with over 37,000 subscribers. And we'll see everyone after the game on Saturday.